Peace and good morning. This is Ronan Ali. I'm actually speaking today. This is Monday, known as February 15th, 2016. Also, the day of the Grammys. And on this Grammys episode, annual Grammys show, excuse me, they're going to be honoring Maurice White of Earth, Wind, and Fire. As you all know, the iconic Earth, Wind, and Fire. And that goes without loose lip, and I'll explain that shortly. I had seen an interview with Lord Jamar, a brand Nubian, on Vlad TV, and Vlad asked him about a certain musician that's been around for a long time. And he said you would have to agree that he's a musical genius. And Lord Jamar is like, he chuckled a little and said, basically to a certain demographic, I don't know about that across the board. I'm paraphrasing. And I chuckled myself because I felt and thought the exact same thing. So, from what I've seen in time, people throw these words, legend and genius, around too often and too loose. So, when I heard that, it sparked a thought and a question I wanted to ask: what constitutes genius, and what constitutes legendary status at the same time? Concerning this artist or any other artist that you may consider a genius, what brings them to that level? What brings you to that conclusion? As far as the realms of music go, what notes have they put together that were different? What chords have they put together? In what way did they arrange these 12 notes that we all use to evoke a certain type of feeling? You know, what accomplishments have they made? What did they do across the board to not just a certain demographic, but to most people who listen to music or who know music? What did they do to influence not just the listeners, but the artists after them? When you ask these questions, when I ask these questions, I automatically think of Maurice White and those of his level. You know, Maurice White put together the band known as Earth, Wind, and Fire, fusing all sorts of music that was going on at the time. And not only that, he knew the right people to be in the band from the beginning, from 1969 on to 72, with the first band featuring Wade Fleming and Sherry Scott, Michael Beale, and Verdine White as well. And Verdine White carried on, and Michael Beale carried on to the next level that brought Philip Bailey, Ralph Johnson, and Ronnie Laws, Larry Dunn, so forth. And then it progressed on to the Classic Nine that we know from 1975 on to 80 and so forth. And then they came back 87. That being said, those musicians had integral positions within the band and contributed a lot. And it's easy to have a band of 9 or 10. That was so commonplace in the 70s. But it's easy to have a band of 9 or 10 guys all playing the same instruments that everybody else does. But to actually have the mind to direct these guys into having their own sound and to actually push in different directions, that speaks of a genius mind. When you can actually have a band of guys and make them sound different from everybody, or even know the right people to get, such as a Tom 84 or Charles Stepney or George Massenburg, you know, the master engineer, to actually make you sound distinct to the point where when somebody hears a song or a hint of a song a little bit, maybe just one measure, they know it's you. That speaks of genius right there, to actually have a vision and play this whole thing out or see this 10, 20 years ahead of time. That speaks of genius. you know. So to throw Maurice White definitely deserves that title as far as genius goes. So I'm hearing rumors now that they may not pay tribute to him at the Grammys, Maurice White, um, or Earth, Wind and Fire. Earth, Wind and Fire was slated to get a Lifetime Achievement Award, but it has turned into a tribute, from what I understand. But then I'm hearing that it's not going to happen. I don't know. I saw on TV yesterday that they were going to do that. So I'm not even going to get into that. If they don't, that looks bad on them because, they're missing out on a legend. That's another word that you can call this man. David Foster put it out there on his show, and he spoke the truth, as I say. He influenced him and gave him his first shot, same as Allie Willis. So it's not throwing around certain titles when it comes to a cat like Maurice White or even Earth, Wind and Fire, to be truthful. And I'm not just speaking as a fan, I am a fan and a student, but as far as the musical level goes and speaking objectively, you have to give it up to the man. So salute to the spirit of Maurice White for bringing what is now known as the concept of Earth, Wind and Fire, because Earth, Wind and Fire is not a band, it's a concept, as well as an institution. And again, you have to give him the title of genius, because when he presented it as that means that Earth, Wind and Fire will live not just in the physical, but also in the spiritual and also in the realms of just sound and in memory. So long after they're gone, the music will be there forever. And that is my piece on the genius of Maurice White. Good morning.